it'll work because I don't have the damn controllers. I mean, it'll probably still work, but it won't work. That's supposed to.
Yeah.
But I want this. So bad.
Alrighty then. Thank you, Electro Swing, for your perfect intro music-ish. Alrighty, intro music-ish. Alrighty, I hear myself. Oh god, that was weird. No. Apparently somebody had started following. Lunchamites followed me the other day or someday. Who knows? Alrighty, so gonna go ahead and get back to Kenneth. Kenneth's full screen. Alrighty,
Yep.
and we're back to here. And this is still wrong somehow. Why is this wrong?
Why are your eyes wrong?
Why is it showing what? Instead of showing you,
It's showing.
the
Which dashboard?
I see that. I'm trying to fix that. Where the hell? What is
Technical difficulties, everyone.
Alright, what's going on here? This is supposed to be Discord. Watch them hit properties. It's gonna not go back to Discord. Supposedly that's Discord. That's Twitch. That's there. Yeah, that's correct. There we go. And it took like, I don't know, some ridiculous time. I just had to do white balance again because my video is still really red for some reason. I'm not wearing
See,
red.
like, yeah, but now your video looks correct. I still need to do the white balancing.
Well, I had to play with it before it started, but whenever I first turned it on, it's like, oh, I'm red, abadita, but ow, I'm bleeding, I'm dying, somebody save me, you know?
Why are you bleeding?
I don't know. Because life. Life makes me bleed.
Anyways.
Jeez.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on Table Talk Thursday, episode 63, with your hosts, Reigning Death 909, also known as Kenneth, and the other host,
iPhone_1, also known as David. You know, eventually I could remake the, and make an overlay since this is how we are now. You're there,
Yeah.
I'm here, I get overlay at the bottom, it'll be good.
Yeah, I just have to shift some things around, but that'll
Yeah,
work.
notice I'm sitting on a... I could do this, except... Actually, no, this would be perfect. Yeah, Kenneth, what now? Where are you at? Where's the rest of your body, mate? No, so I got a stool. Just real quick. I got this dinky little shitty stool. This is what I sit on now. Instead of the whole shitty Walmart chair. As I just moved to cover up the dark spot over here.
The darkness.
Shh.
You have some serious shadow problems.
Yes, I do. Even though I have an entire light bar above me that's blasting down over here. I can actually sit over here and block it. It's kind of weird, though. Feels awkward. But anyway.
Anyways, so I'm going to start us off with the United States. Fucking around.
United States of Smash! To anybody that watches anime.
Not me.
Yeah, I know you don't, but... I mean, like, all the other real boys and... boys out there. Real boys and men. I was going to say girls, but there are no girls on the internet. I'm just going to try it. I'm going to check some stats real quick.
Only guys being girls and FBI agents being little kids.
Sad face. Yeah, I'm going to check the service that Packet and we talked about last night. It tells us what is the thing that we should be streaming? Yesterday it told me what I should be streaming is, I don't know, Rust. And then it had like IRL and then fucking... So yeah, so it says IRL and then talk shows. There's 90 channels with 4,000 views in talk shows. And there's 953 channels with 78,778 in IRL. Those both have a strike score of 10. Apparently, top 5% of channels own like 90 and 80% of the viewers, respectively. AKA, these are terrible categories. Hello, Omega Derp things. How you doing, buddy? I don't know why I got it when I had water here the whole time. I walked up. So, carry on.
Anyway, so the U.S. has quit the bias UN Human Rights Council.
What?
So, a stroke of international genius.
Yes. Genius.
Of course, in a Trumpian maneuver.
Is he now a thing? Is like
I'm gonna make it a thing if it's not.
Trumpian.
It needs to be.
Sounds so weird.
But it fits. So yes, the U.S. has pulled out, calling it a cesspool of political bias. So Nikki Haley, the envoy to the UN, has said it was a hypocritical body that makes a mockery of human rights. Which I don't disagree. Surprisingly, I don't actually disagree entirely with this. So the UN Human Rights Council does have a problem with admitting, well, countries that have human rights problems. And not actually doing anything like, say, Saudi Arabia, who's on the UN Human Rights Council, and the UN Women's Rights Council, if memory serves. So, good on them. And also interesting enough is that Israel is apparently, I mean, every time they meet, Israel's always 0.7.
Israel is real.
In every meeting that they have.
0.7? What do you mean?
No, I mean literally in the list of points, Israel's always 0.7.
Oh. Like in a bullet point setup? That's fine.
Yeah, in a bullet point system. Yeah, because apparently that's the hot topic to discuss is always Israel on every meeting because of their occupation of the Palestinian territory. Which it's also kind of biased because, well, a lot of the nations on the UN Human Rights Council is a lot of them have Muslim nations, so they share their bias. Because God forbid we talk about Saudi Arabia's human rights violations or our own human rights violations.
Human rights violations for everyone.
Pretty much. I mean, there's very few countries in the modern world that you don't have human rights violations. I mean, most of Europe is probably fine, but
yeah,
like Russia, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, America, to state the obvious. Israel.
Is Yemen a country?
Yes. It's near Saudi Arabia. Anyways, so it's founded in 2006. The Geneva-based council has faced criticisms in the past for allowing, like I said, member nations with questionable rights. But activists said that the U.S.'s move could hurt efforts to monitor and address these human rights abuses around the world.
Well,
which is true. I mean, if you can't exactly have a say in things, if you're not on the council that says these things.
Right.
You know, even if you disagree, you should still be there. But I don't think Trump knows how to play the game.
Yep. Look, take your biggest boy for the follower.
So the many allies have tried to convince the U.S. to remain. Many of those who even agree with Washington's criticisms of the body, encouraging it to reform it from within, then disengaging, because they understand how this whole thing works. Which, ironically, comes at a time of intense criticism and pressure of the Trump administration for policies separating child migrants from their parents at the U.S. border, which, as most people call, is a major, unconscionable human rights violation.
It's a big deal.
Yes. Which I we'll get into it later, but I'll talk about Trump's statements about that process later on when we get to that story. But I have words to say about that. Anyways. And of course, the UN, the ACLU, has issued a statement calling Trump's administration that they were leading a concerted, aggressive effort to violate basic human rights.
Not surprised there.
Which yeah, and I don't think people can disagree on that.
Nope. Meanwhile, on to better news, the 420 kind of news. Canada legalizes recreational marijuana after Senate passes historic legislation. Although it's not the Senate there, is it the Senate? It's something else, isn't it?
Well, it's basically their
Senate.
Senate.
No.
Anyways, roll the
There's a video here that I shall roll. Rolling. I want to point out something here. Is it just the clip where it's the end? This is the last 4 seconds, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was making sure this is correct. I also want to point out something over here. So whenever I swap scenes real quick, that's not right. There you go. That's the correct one. I love it when Twitch does these things. I want to point out this fucking Modern Warfare video right here embedded in this.
Yeah.
Anyway. Unmuting.
Wonderful day for Canada, and therefore, of course, the world.
There you go. Beautiful day for Canada, and of course, the world. Anyway, there you go.
I just had to have that play.
Ouch. Yes, the move will make Canada the second country in the world to legalize cannabis for both medicinal or medical and recreational purposes nationwide. Uruguay was the first to fully legalize the drug. The bill passed in the House of Commons that November and then passed in the Senate on Tuesday night by a vote of 52 to 29 with 2 abstentions, which means get fucked. Medicinal use of the drug has been legal in Canada since 2001. Congratulations. The proposed legislation allows adults in Canada to legally possess and use up to 30 grams of dried cannabis in public. 30 grams is a lot.
I was going to say, is that a lot? I don't know drug things.
It's a decent amount. As well as cultivate. So, like, to put it in perspective, you get in trouble here in some things. Like, I think Houston went catch and release if you're under, like, 3 or 5 or something like that. There's just, like, a joint or two. So, yeah, 30's a good bit. So, anyway. Yeah. Use up to 30 grams of dried cannabis in public, as well as cultivate up to 4 plants at home and prepare products for personal use. Nice. Dried cannabis and cannabis oil will become commercially available later this year. The minimum illegal age to buy and consume pot in Canada will be set to 18, but the bill allows provinces and territories to increase the minimum age.
And I actually disagree with that. Studies show that marijuana does negatively affect people under the age of 21, as at 18 your brain is still developing its pathways and such, and that marijuana does have a negative effect at that age. Once you hit 21, your brain is pretty stable as far as pathways goes and doesn't really negatively affect it.
Nice.
But at that age, it can still. So I would say probably bump that up.
I mean, if it's whatever the same age they have legal age for smoking and drinking, I think all their legal age is 18.
Well,
sure.
It's kind of like our smoking age is 18, but our drinking age is 21.
Yeah, even though smoking's very bad for you, too.
Yes.
So, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, Canadian Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould, who sponsored the legislation, called the bill passage a historic milestone. This is a historic milestone for progressive policy in Canada as we shift our approach to cannabis. Wilson-Raybould said via Twitter Tuesday night, This legislation will help protect our youth from the risks of cannabis. What? While keeping profits out of the hands of criminals and organized crime. The law will come into effect October 17th. So look, another reason to go to Canada. Well, now that you're not moving up here, I think I'm going to be like John and move to Canada.
I can go to Canada. I have the paperwork that says I'm a great candidate.
I'll just copy that and then just paste over my name where your name was. It's fine. Anyway.
Anyways, so on to Japan, the land of the rising sun.
My people.
I don't know if you want them. I don't know if you want them to be your people after hearing this.
Nope, don't care. I'll do what I want.
So a Japanese worker was punished. Well, their name was published, but they were also punished for starting lunch 3 minutes early. Japan's commitment to addressing its dismal record on work-life balance has been called into question after a civil servant was punished for habitually slipping away from his desk for a few minutes early to buy a bento lunch. Bento, which, as most people may know, is like a bento box kind of deal, with rice and meats and other things.
It's a combined lunch.
Yeah, very traditional lunch.
I'm surprised if you hear me, because I was in, like, across the kitchen. I'm making a milkshake. Woo!
Okay, so you best mute yourself if you're using a blender.
I don't have a blender. I got these hands!
Oh, gosh. Anyways, the 64-year-old, an employee of the Waterworks Bureau.
Waterworks? What is this, Monopoly?
Yes. Was fined and reprimanded after he was found to have left his desk for just 3 minutes before the start of his designated lunch break on 26 occasions over 7 months period. So to put that into perspective, folks, that's about once a week. So about once a week, this 64-year-old man leaves his desk 3 minutes early.
Oh no! It's
Dear
tantamount
God.
to treason!
Apparently in Japan it is. Fuck. No, because this is how crazy this shit went. So senior officials at the Bureau then called a televised news conference.
What?
Yes.
That seems a bit much. Hey,
It's Japan. Everything's a bit much.
Hey, no, shut up. We're going there, so fine.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be annoying as fuck as an American. The Japanese people will just glare at me in Japanese.
I mean, they're going to glare at me too. Let's be real here.
True.
I'm always trying to speak Japanese out of your ass.
Well, they described.
A couple months, right?
Yeah. But just listen how they describe the man's conduct. So the senior officials described the man's conduct as deeply regrettable and bowed in apology.
Dude, if I can get Japanese people to bow an apology for my shit, let's go.
Fucking hell! Next time we'll have to bring out the damn what's that one post you people used to be put into? Where you.
The fucking shit. I don't remember the one. But yeah, the one where they have to sit on their knees forever, the punishment thing or whatever.
Yeah, or like whenever like your hands and your head, or your wrists and your hand and your head's in that like the stable or something, or whatever it is.
Stock.
Yeah, the stock. Yeah, just fucking put these people in a stock and throw rotten food at them with how deeply they're fucking taking this bullshit.
Oh, no, I thought you were gonna make me do the Japanese thing where they have to sit on their knees and shit.
No.
That's just brutal.
Yep. So local media reported the incident soon after MPs passed a law intended to address Japan's punishingly long work hours. So we all know Japan has an insane history of work.
Japan has a really great work ethic. You thought it was the Mexicans? You thought it was anybody else? No, it's actually the Japanese.
I don't know if I'd call it a good work ethic. It's dangerous work
ethic. It's
ethic.
a good work ethic for people that, think that way. I mean, that's what... If American companies could get away with it, damn well they would.
Well, I know they would, but the workers in this wouldn't stand for it.
And then also, our old people, if it happened back whenever, our grandparents or parents were alive, they'd be like, oh yeah, this is just good work ethic. And then that's how everybody would believe. Because that's how this shit works nowadays. It's just like, oh no, see, back in my day, that was just called being a good person, or some shit. Also, we've got messages and nobody's answering them. Crucifix, best porter, Japan's everything's a bit much. I left inventory to battle these nuts. Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, so in its first white paper last month, the lower house passed a bill that caps overtime at 100 hours a month.
That's a lot of fucking overtime.
That's a lot of fucking overtime.
So does that
It's
mean they don't
25.
get paid after they go over? They can't go over.
I mean, I imagine they still have to get paid for it, but it's like, I guess, expected that you work at least 100 hours overtime, including.
I think that's a limit to where you're not supposed to work over 100.
Yes, you can't work over 100, but still, that means that they've only been bumped down to from whatever they were.
That's a lot of overtime. Although that's
Yeah.
good money, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also in response to a rise in the number of employees dying from. This is how you know it's bad.
Dying on the job.
They have a word for it. Dying from karoshi, or death from overwork.
Yeah, exhaustion.
Yes. In the first white paper on karoshi in 2016, the government said 1 in 5 employees were at risk of death from overwork. Just imagine that 20% of your nation's working, population were at risk of dying from work.
Yeah, work never killed. Just see if that happened in America. That's exactly what you can do. Work never killed anybody. Rabble, rabble, rabble.
Yeah, from the old fucks.
Right. I'm literally dying here.
But they really need to change their damn culture there.
Yes.
Because, people like to say, oh, it's their culture, it's their culture. No. When their culture is literally causing people to die, something has to change.
Is our culture any better? Have you seen how fat our people are and everything like that? We're ones to talk here, just saying.
Well, I mean, we're making changes. Well, the government's forcing changes to.
We're not making changes. What?
Not you and I, but I mean, people overall. Their companies and.
They're not making changes either. They're making half-assed changes. They're really not, though. I mean, we still have shitty foods that are widely available and super cheap. There's no real changes going on.
Yeah, and also it starts at the home, educating people and teaching them about healthy food choices, money management.
The problem is that healthy food choices are still more expensive no matter how you make it.
They really don't have to be.
Well, the problem is they are, and the biggest reason why they are is because of how it has to be, basically because fresh and healthy foods have a, super short, finite amount of lifespan, whereas you can get a shitty box food and stuff that lasts forever, and then use, the fresh
but I mean, if you get, you can get, frozen shit, like chicken and ground beef and such. I mean...
that's not good, though.
Whatever the hell you're doing.
It's preservatives, man. Shots
I mean,
preservatives and shit.
No, I mean, the normal chicken you get from, HEBs.
You're talking about the fresh chicken?
Yeah.
Or the quote-unquote fresh, yeah.
That you can freeze.
Yes, that's
same for the ground beef. But, I mean, that's not that expensive. I mean, if you have a normal...
yes.
But I'm saying that's if you know how to make meals, you can shop and buy appropriately, use
but that's just meat, Kenneth. As much as I'd love to agree with you, meat is not a good diet.
No, I mean, I'm not saying just meat. I'm saying, that's the main protein factor in a meal.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can get, frozen vegetables or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Try and avoid canned vegetables. But they do last a while, of course. I mean, there are things you can do and buy that can be a part of a regular staple of a diet. That you can make healthy meals with it.
Yeah, well, except also you still make box meals. Some of it's convenient.
Well, you don't have to make box meals. I mean, shit. In all the times I've eaten dinner, I mean, we've never eaten from box meals too often. Maybe once in a given month.
I just eat box meal all the time because it's easy. It's just I cook the chicken and then throw in all the cheese and shells. Done. It's easy.
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah.
I could make it from scratch, or I can make not from scratch, but with ingredients. It just takes way too long.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it can be done. I mean, we do it, and we, survive on a low income.
Kenneth, you don't have low income.
No, but I mean, I don't buy the groceries.
You do. I thought you said you force money to groceries. You give $200.
I do. No, that's rent. I pay the rent and I pay for my car insurance.
You can save on your car insurance by switching to Geico.
I really can't.
This is a mostly milk shake. There wasn't a lot of ice.
So, anyways, back to the story, seeing as we went off tangent a bit. So the officials' illicit bento expeditions were uncovered after a senior colleague looked out of his office window and spotted him walking to a nearby restaurant that sells takeout food. The employee, who has not been named, repeatedly said that he left the office early to buy lunch because he needed a change of pace. So there's a fucking snitch in the office who's reporting on everybody's bullshit and saw this poor 64-year-old man who's probably worked his entire life in the Waterworks Bureau. And he's like, he's 64 years old. Fucking give the man a break.
He's 64 years old. He should bring honor to his family.
Yeah, sure. Anyways.
All right. Okay. South Korea court outlaws killing dogs for their meat. Similar to the story of China doing that last year, I believe, right?
Did they do that?
We covered somebody doing that somewhere over there. That's I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, a South Korean court ruled for the first time that it's illegal to kill dogs for their meat. A decision that activists hope will pave the way to making the controversial practice illegal, report said. No more dog bulgogi, Kenneth. Sad face. Oh yeah, you won't be up here. You can't go to round one. You can't go eat dog bulgogi. Damn. Your life sucks. Anyway, long shrouded in a gray area of cultural relativism, eating dogs has become a taboo in the country as younger generations gravitate closer to the Western belief that a pooch is man's best friend rather than a tasty delicacy, according to AFB. Yeah, but when the world ends, all animals become food. Anyway.
The world's not gonna end.
Still, lawmakers have hesitated to outright ban the practice and have instead acted with weaker regulatory laws, such as hygiene regulations or measures that ban cruel slaughter methods. It is very significant, and that is the first court decision that killing dogs for dog meat is illegal itself, according to Kim Kyung-yoon, a lawyer with the animal rights organization Coexistence of Animal Rights on Earth. What? She added, the precedent has paved the way for outlawing dog meat consumption entirely. I feel like this is semi-spun, because it makes it sound like it's illegal, but...
No, that's what the court ruled.
It's not illegal to kill it. It's illegal to do it in certain ways.
No. The court ruled that it was illegal. The legislation was just saying that that's measures they put in place, but that the court ruled that it is, by the court's decision, illegal. So that's why it says the court has outlawed killing dogs for the meat.
All right.
So it is now illegal in South Korea to kill dogs for their meat. It is a good day for South Korea, and therefore the world. Unless it's... Yeah.
Are we going to cover the Space Force? Who's going to cover the Space Force?
I don't have that on here, but I can fit that in.
I just want to cover the
Anyways, so this is an update to a story we covered a few months ago about the Israeli Prime Minister's wife who was being investigated for fraud. And as an update, she's now being charged with fraud for misuse of public funds.
Nice.
So Sarah Netanyahu, the wife of current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was indicted today for the alleged systematic fraud involving hundreds of thousands of shekels.
Shekels! Fucking shekels!
Which is hilarious, because that's actually, I had to double check that. That's actually the name of the currency.
Yeah. No.
It's the Israeli new shekel.
Yes.
So I'm incredibly amused.
That's why it's a center of Jew jokes. That's where Jews came from.
In connection with meal expenses incurred at the Prime Minister residence. So Sarah Netanyahu was charged along with Ezra Seroff, a former deputy director for the Prime Minister's office. The two are charged in an indictment filed at the Jerusalem Magistrates Court with aggravated, fraudulent receiving of an item or items, fraud, and breach of trust.
All right,
And
everybody.
set off was us.
Here's how we trigger Kenneth.
Oh, good.
Isn't it great? It's a fucking bobblehead.
I mean, I already have one. I can get it.
No, I know. I just bought this from the vault.
And here's my bobblehead.
Nice. Yeah, I got it from Loot Crate, obviously.
But this is an exclusive Vault 111 bobblehead.
What do you mean?
It means that this particular bobblehead model was only made... Actually, I think this was a Loot Crate one as well.
Yeah, it's the same one I have. I got it from
Is it the same one you
I
have?
got it from the Loot Vault. That's why.
Oh, you bought it from the Vault.
Yep, it was on sale.
Well, cool. But I already own it, so...
Yep.
Still neat.
Maybe for like $5 or whatever it was. I just got it for it. I also got a couple shirts. Go Loot
I
Vault.
guess I should go check out the Loot Vault then.
I think the sale's already over and dead. I didn't know, so I'll tell you to check. They didn't have a lot of like XLs or higher shirts though.
Alright. So according to the indictment, the Prime Minister's wife instructed staff to order meals worth over $100,000 from gourmet restaurants between 2010 and 2013. And in doing so, she violated the rules barring residents from ordering meals from the outside when there's a cook on staff. Because, well, I guess it makes sense.
Right? I mean, you have somebody that cooks for you, so why would you order out?
It,
You already have
however,
somebody that does everything for you.
Yeah, exactly. However, the Prime Minister's wife, aware of her actions that violated the rules, concealed the cook's employment by ordering that he be listed as maintenance personnel.
Wow.
So she knew she was wrong, and she took measures.
I wonder
She did.
if he wonder if that cook got like a demotion.
No, I think because I mean it's understandable that you're being employed as a cook. You don't care how the hell they're classifying you, as long as they're paying you what you ask.
I know as a cook, it's like any other job profession where you actually want to be known as something. You want to be known as like head chef or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm sure if that person ever lists that job, and you also got to imagine this is a private residence chef. So, it's not like he's gonna be putting on his resume maintenance personnel. No, he's gonna be putting as chef for the Netanyahus, which is just gonna get him more business.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, however they classified him doesn't matter to him because he's still gonna be putting it as what he is.
I'm still debating on whether or not I should go to work tomorrow. What do you think, Kenneth? I have plenty.
Get to work what?
To go to work tomorrow. So I'm debating on whether I should go or not.
I mean, don't you have to give your boss some kind of notice or something?
Yeah, I could just put a calendar invite down.
Well, whatever. Do what you want to do. It's your life and your hours.
Yep.
I have Fridays off just because.
Because it's summer right now.
Well, yeah, because 410s.
Are you going to try to keep 410s when you get done?
When summer's done?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Although, if I get that promotion and become salary, then I can pretty much just set my own schedule. So maybe.
Is it actually real salary, or is it still...
It's real salary. I'm going to have a contract and everything.
Wait, you have a contract? What?
Yeah. Well, that's just a thing. You have a contract when you're salary. Basically assuring your employment for a certain number of years, barring gross negligence or other things of that nature.
That's weird. I've never heard of an actual contract for salary. Okay,
Apparently that's just what this school district does.
Weird. So then you're going to be on contract. So weird.
Mm-hmm. Which is good for me.
I guess.
I mean, no overtime, but it gives me additional protections.
Maybe that's why they're okay with giving you more money, because you were eating into their budget for overtime.
Yeah, possibly. I doubt I accrued 15,000 worth of overtime.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, given if you had enough overtime every month, yeah, you might be able to.
Yeah, it might be possible, but unlikely. Yeah. So anyway, it says here. So yes, it says right here. So she directed staff of the residence, including then chief maintenance superintendent, to hide the fact that cooks were employed. So what we found out by the treasury and office manager. So this is really stupid. So she was actually even given the chance to just pay for the charges and not let it go. Given like a deal where she would have only had to pay like 70,000, and it would have just gone away.
No, we are doing a news show. This is news. It says news everywhere. News.
And she rejected the deal. And now she could be sentenced to 5 years behind prison if convicted.
Somehow I don't think it's going to happen. It's Netanyahu's wife.
Yeah, I can hope she gets some shit thrown on her.
I mean, they might get thrown on her, but magically she might get, forgiven or whatever. Probably.
Possibly. I don't know if they have like a pardon system like America does.
I'm sure they could draw one up real quick.
That's true. I'm sure he could get it through his parliament pretty quick.
Yep.
Anyways, well, that's the end of this.
Alright, Dutch to close 4 more prisons as crime rates continues to fall. From DutchNews.nl, or whatever that said. The cabinet is considering closing a further 4 prisons because of falling prisoner numbers, the AD said on Wednesday. Prisoners in Zoetermeer, Zeist, Almere, Zwag, and Noord-Holland are set to be shut down by Justice Minister Sander Dekker. Oh no, it's a Dekker. And the first major cuts since 2013, when 13 jails were earmarked for closure. Or 19, rather, were earmarked for closure. The 2013 closures led to a storm of protests from the prison workers, and the government began importing prisoners from Belgium and Norway to fill the gap and keep some prisoners open. The previous government decided not to close more prisons because of the impact on employment rates. The closures are inevitable because around 1/3 of prison beds are now empty. Of the 13,500 beds available in 2017, 8,400 were occupied, the AD said. National Statistics Office CBS said earlier this year that the crime rate in the Netherlands is now back to the level of 1980, with 49 crimes reported for every 1,000 members of population. I wonder what our crime stats are.
I actually looked them up. So per 1,000, we're actually in line with that.
Really?
But it's also to the level, to what kind of crime it is.
Ours is like extreme violence or violence.
Ours is a lot of violent crime and such, where theirs is not. They don't like their violent crime is like 3 violent crimes per 100,000.
Nice.
So versus ours, which is like a couple hundred. And apparently they also, at least from what the statistics website said, is that they only have like, I don't know if I think this may be wrong, because it said that this nation has 1 police officer per 100,000, and the United States has 237 per 100,000, which I believe.
That seems correct, honestly.
Yeah.
Both of those numbers seem relatively correct to me.
I suppose so. That just means the Netherlands has an extremely small police force.
Yeah, but when your people are nicer to each other and don't fucking try to kill each other all the time, you don't need police.
And you actually focus on rehabilitation and making people productive members of society.
Yeah, when you don't turn the police into another form of taxation and just get revenue generation. Yeah, because that's what our police really are here in the United States. They're really just revenue generators for the state and local governments, to be honest.
That, and they're practically a branch of the military at this point, with how militarized they are.
Kinda, some of them. I mean,
nor the bigger cities. Although then again, I've heard of small cities requesting tanks and getting them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you seen the yard of tanks? I should get somebody from Bay City. I should go whisper in the mayor's ears that we need a tank, and then it magically.
Well, you don't need to go talk to the mayor. Just talk to the sheriff.
No, I could talk to the mayor though. The mayor will, be like, "Hey, we need a tank." I'm like, remember that flood?
We
A
need
tank won't, the flood won't stop the tank.
an armored personnel carrier.
No, I mean, legitimately, for down there, it would actually be okay because most of them are amphibious. So if you get an amphibious one, next time there's an ultra hurricane and everything floods, the tank floats! Woo!
Do we even have a SWAT team?
Yeah, we do. SWAT team is made up of a random bunch of officers and sheriffs. The SWAT. So one of my friend's parents was on a SWAT team, and she had an AR in her car along with her normal other police gear and stuff like that. So our SWAT team isn't a standalone unit as far as I know.
Yeah, but I mean, I gotta say, this is really good news for the Netherlands, and I'm frankly, it's good to hear that a nation is actually like, oh, our crime rates are so low and our people, not committing so many crimes that we can actually close prisons to do so. I mean, that's just fantastic news to hear. Why can't we hear shit like this out of America?
Because we're too busy making profit off of everybody.
Well, that's
and their slave labor.
Yep. So, finally on to U.S. news with the story that I've been wanting to cover. So, this is talking more about the child migrants. If you haven't heard, America is separating migrant children from their parents at the border. And the United States is... Yes, it is a very large deal here in America, and especially predominantly in Texas, where a lot of this is going on. It says here, so the Trump administration has set up at least 3 tender age shelters to detain babies and young children who have been forcibly separated from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border. So tender age is, I think, children under the age of 7. Lawyers and doctors who have visited the shelters in the South Texas Rio Grande Valley said the facilities were fine and clean, but the children, who have no idea where their parents are, were hysterical, crying and acting out, many of them under the age of 5, and some who were so young they have not yet learned to talk. Tragic. So inhumane, really, to separate young children, 5, 4, babies, 8-month-old, from their parents, and put them in these places. Just the humanity of the situation.
This is Trump's America. Just saying.
This is Trump's America. The government, which has already faced withering critiques over the images of some of the children in cages inside the U.S. Border Patrol processing stations, faced renewed criticism for setting up new places to hold these toddlers decades after orphanages were phased out over concerns of lasting trauma to children. Which that is what they found out, is that orphanages do cause major problems with kids because they don't get proper nurturing and the familiar bonding and aspect. So it's quite damaging psychologically for children.
Very much
so. By law, child migrants traveling alone must be sent to facilities run by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services within 3 days of being detained. The agency is then responsible for placing children into shelters or foster homes until they are united with a relative or sponsor in the community as they await immigration court hearings. Which even that's in the whole clusterfuck. We talked about that a couple months ago, where they were sending children as young as 3 and 4 to freaking immigration court to state their case alone. And the judge was like, oh yeah, children, they totally understand. Once I explain it to them, I think they can understand the, fine legal things they need to understand about the law. Fucking idiot judge. But the U.S. Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, announced last month that the government would criminally prosecute everyone who comes across the U.S.-Mexico border illegally, and has led to the breakup of migrant families and sent a new group of hundreds of young children into the government's care. At current numbers, I believe the United States is currently detaining over 2,000 children separate from their parents. On a practical level, the zero tolerance policy has overwhelmed the federal agency charged with caring for the new influx of children, who tend to be much younger than the teens who typically have been traveling to the U.S. alone. Some recent detainees are infants taken from their mother. So that is also the difference here, is that before, unaccompanied minors are just children who are just traveling without their parents. Yeah. That's different than this, which is the government with children coming with their parents, and the government separating them and then calling these separate children unaccompanied minors. Right. So they've reclassified them and just causes bullshit just for their own sake.
Just for doing it.
Well, they don't like to talk about it, and the Department of Homeland Security director denies it, but this was done as a deterrent. As the Attorney General so nicely stated in an interview, that this measure was a deterrent to migrant families. Because of course it would be. It'd be very discouraging if you traveled all this way and then they separated your kid from you for many months and you had no way of knowing where they are or how they were and if they've been cared for and all that jazz.
Yep.
While you rotted in a jail cell somewhere.
Right.
I mean, that would definitely be a deterrent.
That would definitely be a deterrent for the good old American dream.
Mm-hmm. So here's a doctor, Dr. Marsha Griffin, a South Texas pediatrician who's visited many of the shelters. She says here, the shelters aren't the problem. It's taking the kids from their parents that's the problem. So it says, and here's a person who runs an organization that's helping house these children. And he says here that the children separated, the youngest is 8 months old, and that the average age of children in its care has dropped from 14 years to 7 years old once the policy was adopted. The youngest children, he said, are shell-shocked, crying themselves to sleep. Then when they wake up from their naps, and they're crying again for their mom, asking, "Where's my dad?" He said they absolutely need their parents right now.
Yeah, that's definitely going to agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing you can't... I mean, the only people who fucking disagree with this is Trump and his cavalcade of horrible people.
Yep.
I mean, hell, even his own wife and daughter are like, this is a terrible policy.
That's pretty fun.
And his wife was recently down in South Texas taking a look at these shelters.
Oh, is that what happened? Because no, she was down here.
Yeah, she was originally going to go see one of the processing centers, but due to the intense flooding going on this week, she was unable to.
Here it's flooding pretty hard down there.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. I mean, I was looking at the videos coming out from like Brownsville and such, and it was very flooded.
Glad I came down the weekend before.
Yep. But I mean, yeah, this is absolutely an atrocious measure that they've taken. I am glad for Trump signing an executive order yesterday or today rescinding this policy, but I don't give him too much credit because he is the one who instituted this policy.
Right.
So I don't even know if I should give him credit for removing it after he's the one who did it. So
supposedly there's something about the policy that's not just removing it, but it's supposedly doing something else. It's removing the ability to separate the children from the families, but they can also...
Yeah, I believe it removes it.
But they can be detained indefinitely or something like that.
Yeah, it expands the powers and such that he has. Let me pull that up just a moment, folks. Let's see. And then, of course, I also saw that a lot of people were blaming like Bush and Obama for this policy.
Right.
But they were wrong. And you can check out, I don't know, obviously it's a live show, so I can't present you the sources. But this policy was purely Trump and was put into place in 2017. It's so hard to just bring up exactly what that executive order says.
Every time you hear executive order, all I can think is execute order 66. I'm waiting for it.
Oh, there we go. The Federal Register. That will have what I need. So it says here that it restricts family separation, but maintains many key components of the administration's immigration policy. It instructs the Department of Homeland Security to maintain custody of parents and children jointly, to the extent permitted and subject to the availability of appropriations. It instructs the Justice Department to attempt to overturn the Flores Agreement, which limited the holding time for children and families with children to 20 days, currently allowing children to be detained indefinitely. Okay, so before it was 20, now it's forever. That's the thing. Don't we want these people to have, if they are asylum seekers, go through this process swiftly? Because, that costs the country less if we have to house these people indefinitely.
Yeah, no, I don't know. The indefinitely thing, it's like he made it really bad, and then, now he can come back and still make it just as bad, but make it seem like he's doing better.
Well, that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. I was like, what if he's actually not that dumb, but smart enough to do that? Or maybe there's somebody else that's smart enough to tell him to do that.
And it actually gets even worse. So apparently, according to a spokesperson from the Department of Health and Human Services, the children who have been separated will not be immediately reunited with their families, and that there will be no grandfathering of existing cases.
Oh, man.
Or actually says here that there were no decisions being made, so they may not even return these fucking kids to their families. This is despicable. But it's not something that surprised me.
I mean, it's mildly surprising for me. Let me show you the free toys I got. Boom. Boom. AT&T. It's a new wireless extender. These are the free ones that I got.
Oh, why did they give you one?
They gave me 2.
Yeah. Your apartment's so damn small, though.
It's just some sort of free deal they're running with fiber service now.
I guess they know that their routers are so shitty that you need the extenders.
I don't know.
Because why else would AT&T willingly give you something for free?
Well,
It's AT&T.
So supposedly, I logged into the site and I'm also supposed to be getting a money card, and apparently I qualified for it last time, but nobody had told me. I didn't get a letter in the mail. So apparently, but if you go check the website, whenever you signed up originally, you would have been owed a fucking $100 Visa rewards card that they never sent you. Or never
I don't know, because I looked. I immediately set up an account because I did it all online.
That's not the rewards account's completely separate.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, my cat's playing with my mouse cord. Did you stop that? Did you stop being a little shit? Anyway. Carry on. Is that it?
That's it.
Alrighty. Arrested for not carrying an ID on way to high school. Young New Yorker opts to fight. Mariah Charles woke up on Tuesday faced with a difficult decision. Does she take a plea to a crime she didn't commit, or go to trial, face the 2 officers who slammed her to the ground, arresting her on her way to school, and risk losing? On the morning of April 28, 2017, Charles, 19 at the time, was on her way to her high school. Instead, she was thrown headfirst in the back of a New York Police Department squad car. Now, more than a year later, her case has wended its way through the courts. It is hard to know how many young people in New York City are faced with the decision to accept an adjournment in contemplation of dismissal, commonly referred to by its initials ACD. Often it is offered by the district's attorney office to grease the wheels of justice and not clog the system with minor offenses. The law stipulates that if you are not arrested again within 6 months of taking this plea, the charges will be dismissed. Critics of ACDs say it incentivizes defendants to take a plea even if they feel they are innocent. Going to trial opens the possibility of a conviction and a stiff sentence, so it is common for defense attorneys to recommend taking an ACD. It's the DA's go-to sweep it under the rug move, said Jason.
Which, I mean, you know they fucked up. I mean,
yeah.
That's the entire point of this, is they did some bad shit and they're trying to get rid of it.
A community justice organizer with Vocal NY, who came to support Charles in court. Taking an ACD can adversely affect a civil case someone like Charles might bring, charging abuse at the hands of the NYPD, and the charges remain on your record. New York does not expunge records. The records can be sealed, but that only prevents them from being seen by the public. Any number of local, state, and federal government agencies can see within the sealed records. About half an hour later, she made her intentions clear. When a court officer called her name, she and her attorney stood before the judge, her hands behind her back. She nervously scratched her chin with her shoulder, her jaw still working over the gum. Her lawyer announced she would not be taking the plea and they would go to trial. The judge set the trial date of July 9th. The charges resisting arrest and obstructing governmental administration stem from her encounter with the NYPD while walking to school last year. That was captured on a surveillance camera. As she left the courthouse after the brief hearing Tuesday, Charles explained why she made the decision. I didn't feel like I should go with the easiest decision, she said. Me taking the ACD is saying that it's okay what they did. She leaned against the front of Brooklyn Criminal Court building and waited for her mother to meet her. She feels a sense of obligation to take her case to trial and tell other people her age about civil rights abuses they face. I feel like I want to teach others and open up my generation's eyes to what we're going through, Charles said. So it's funny. She's 19, so she's legally an adult. Mm-hmm. Even though she's going to school, you know, in the state of Texas, once you reach 18, even if you stop showing up to school, you can no longer get truancy, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This right.
And in New York, truancy age is 17.
So why did she get fucked up by the cops in the first place? Because she didn't have an ID?
Because she didn't have an ID. She's not legally required to carry.
Yeah, you don't legally have to have an ID.
No, but you're going to love what she was charged with. So she was charged with...
That's all resisting
guess
arrest.
What?
I said I saw resisting arrest on there.
Yeah, so she was charged with resisting arrest and obstruction of justice.
Those are usually the generic bullshit cop clauses.
Yep, so I really hope... I mean, I hope she wins. I hope she does. And the sad thing is that, from what she was saying, is that she was talking with a friend of hers on the way to school, and they were both debating like the merits of being a cop versus a Coast Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually wanted to be a police officer.
No, not anymore. No, woo! Oh, by the way, the next
said.
video isn't opening up for me, mate. So, we're going to have to skip that.
No, just play it from the link.
I mean, it's just
I hate that it doesn't. I hate that it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, you know, it's tragic. This girl, she probably would have made a fine, you know, NYPD officer, and you know, she wouldn't have done this bullshit that these officers did. And now,
maybe not, man. I don't know. People change when they get jobs. Jobs change people. People at the jobs change people. It's just real life.
Maybe, but I mean, I can hope that, you know, the hope of the best in people, kind of deal. Maybe. Let me know when you get that video rolling.
Yeah, if it ever actually decides to roll. It's the one on the page, right? Top.
Yeah.
It's not doing so well. Powered by JW Player. Huh?
Worked just fine for me. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, it's buffering, but it's not playing. There we go.
Maybe it's your ad blocker?
I don't know. Got it. It's
Nearly
playing.
1 out of 5 full-time...
So, here we go. It's playing. Right here.
Time teachers works a second job. That's according to a report by the National Center for Education Statistics out Tuesday. A study of the 2015-2016 school year found 18% of teachers also worked somewhere other than their classrooms. The results were fairly consistent nationwide and may not be surprising. They come following protests over low wages and inadequate school funding by teachers across the U.S. In April, Oklahoma public school teachers, whose salaries were ranked 49th in the nation in 2016, ended a 9-day walkout. They didn't return to work until lawmakers promised millions in education funding and gave teachers the largest raise in state history. But before the walkout, teachers in Oklahoma hadn't received a raise in a decade. In the past, full-time teachers have reported working as janitors, Lyft and Uber drivers, and retail workers for additional income.
I mean, that's extremely fucked up about our nation.
There's a lot of things fucked up about our nation. We know this.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
I live here.
You know, these people are, you know, these educators are supposed to, well, educate the next generation and, you know, devote their time to teaching them.
Something, yes.
The passion for teaching.
Well, some teachers don't have a passion for teaching. We know that for a fact.
Yes, but I mean, I'm sure most of these young teachers who get into it, initially they have a passion for teaching.
Well, until they realize
certainly
teaching is shit and all the other teachers
certainly don't go into it for the money.
Are ageist and sexist and other things.
Yes. But I mean, it's just sad that full-time teachers have to work, you know, 20% of full-time teachers have to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet. You know?
Yeah, but that also highlights the fact that, like, minimum wage and wage in America is just fucked, too.
Well, teachers don't normally make a minimum wage.
Yeah, teachers make more than minimum wage. So I want to just segue this into the point that, hey, teachers make more than minimum wage by a decent bit, and they still can't afford to live.
I mean,
so what does it say about our minimum wage workers who also can't afford to live?
Yeah, because I mean, your average, because I mean, your minimum wage is 15,600 is actually that's actually too much. They make 15,000 essentially. So your average minimum wage worker makes 15,000. Your average teacher in the state of Texas probably makes somewhere at about 40,000. So even at
they start
at
like
twice
20 something, I think.
Like I know here in this school district, I think it's like 30, 35.
Is it 30? I thought the starting was closer to like 28 or something.
It might be 28, but I think they might have bumped it up. I think it's probably about 28, 30.
Yeah.
But I mean, even at double the minimum wage, that's still not enough to survive, and you got a family to support.
Nope.
Or hell, even as a single person, that's still kind of difficult.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, with an apartment, car, groceries, utilities, and all that other shit, I mean, you don't have much money for anything else.
Yeah, shit adds up. Shit does add up indeed.
Yeah. Anyways, so, entertainment news. Fox accepts Disney's $71.3 billion offer. So yes, early this morning, the Walt Disney Company made an updated offer of $71.3 billion to purchase 21st Century Fox, topping the $65 billion bid from Comcast. Bloomberg reports that Fox has accepted Disney's proposal, making it the offer to beat in the bidding war. And accepted is a bit of a misnomer. It just means that they recognize the bid and that it's the highest.
Mm-hmm.
And that if the better bid doesn't come through, that's what they'll move forward with. But Comcast still has time to bid. But they're actually also buying Fox's debt, which actually makes the total bid about $84 billion. So, yeah, they're getting a very good deal. But right now it's unclear whether Comcast will increase its bid for it. And I suppose we'll find out. This, however, in my opinion, is not good news. Fucking Disney is getting way too large with all of the things that it owns. And for them to acquire Fox, I mean, that's just, one more piece of entertainment media that they'll control.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous thing for all that power to be in a single pair of hands. Anyways, on to the U.S. Space Force.
What? On the U.S. Space Force? Did you pull it in here?
Yeah, you just have to cut and chop where you feel like it.
Where is it at? You pull this in here? Ah, yes. U.S. Space Force. Why a U.S. Space Force is premature but inevitable. On Monday, President Donald Trump met with the National Space Council so he could sign an executive order meant to manage and clean up junk in space. This important policy milestone was overshadowed by the fervor surrounding Trump's request for a Space Force. But, so this is this quote here. When it comes to defending America, it is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space, Trump said at the event, which is the quote that I heard and remember.
She's so damn...
That's really
dumb.
It's really like hardcore. We're going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force, separate but equal. Yeah, I watched this whole part, and I'm just like, what? And then he asked the DoD and the Pentagon, literally during that live broadcast, to immediately begin the process of creating a sixth independent branch of armed forces dedicated to space warfare. But the creation of such service lands just outside of his presidential powers, according to 3 experts who spoke with PBS NewsHour. Apparently, only Congress created a new branch of the military, so lawmakers would need to introduce and approve legislation establishing a Space Force, but the Pentagon has expressed reluctance over the idea. Good. It's funny, because even during then, he said the general of the Air Force, and he's like, hey, you get right on it. And he's like, he said something.
He's like...
but anyway, he's like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, good man.
Poor generals. They're like, what? But they can't show that, so they're like, yes, sir.
Yeah. They're like, this is fucking stupid. But yeah. And as I said before, motivation for the Space Force centers around China and Russia. So we're going
But it's
assistant global security expert. Do what?
He doesn't actually have the authority to make it.
Yep, he just said some stupid shit. With a union of concerned scientists, both nations have been ramping up the development of technologies that can be used to target satellites. What? We have technology to target satellites. We've had technology to target satellites for a long time. It doesn't take much but a missile.
But the current anti-satellite weapons falls into two categories: those that interfere with satellites and those that destroy them. And confirmed weapons from all nations generally agree that these are only ground-based. We don't actually have, space-based weaponry that destroy satellites, because space-based weapons are illegal under an international accord.
Yeah, as me and Kenneth have talked about. However, I believe damn well that we have space-based weapons for ground deployment. I don't think we have space-based weapons for space deployment. Like I'm saying, I'm pretty sure we have a satellite in space that may or may not have warheads in it to either launch rockets or to free-fall pipe bomb or something of that nature.
I don't know, that's super illegal.
I mean, it's super illegal, but again, my biggest point is, we're America, who's really going to fucking stop us? Besides, and if we've done it,
China.
They're not going to stop us, one. Two, they probably also have the same thing. Especially Russia. I know Russia does too. I'm fairly certain we have something, and I know for sure, if I believe far enough that we have something, Russia also has something. The only people that may play semi-nice is China. But I know Russia and America do whatever the fuck they want, because we can. Let's be real here. Like, just sit back and think about it honestly for a second. Russia just jammed U.S. drones, fairly recently. We covered that story, and they've also been known to fuck around with our stuff frequently. They also shot down, that one passenger jet. So yeah, no, definitely.
Well, they shot down that passenger jet from the Earth.
Yes, I know, but I'm saying they do stuff that's ultra illegal they're not supposed to do, and so do we. That's my point.
Although that technically, that was Russians, and even though the Russians try to deny it, we covered the damn story that it was the Russians.
Yeah, we knew at the time that it was probably the Russians. We always knew it was the Russians.
Yeah, we always knew it was the Russians. There was really no doubt in that. I mean, hell, we knew there was Russian soldiers in the Crimea.
Yep.
Even though Russia tried to deny it, and all the people did were just like, yeah, they just covered up the patches with duct tape.
Yep. So anyway, so it is what it is. That's
But I
what
will
I'm
state
thinking
this. So, according to the entry in about space to Earth weapons, so as of 2017, there's no known operative orbital weapon systems, although several nations have deployed orbital surveillance networks to observe other nations and armed forces. Like we have, if like ICBM is launched, we know we have satellites that detect that shit and know when it is. The development of orbital weaponry was largely halted after entry into force of the Outer Space Treaty and the SALT II Treaty, which prohibits weapons of mass destruction being placed in space. As other weapons exist, notably those that use kinetic bombardment would not violate these treaties, and some private groups and government officials have proposed a space preservation treaty which banned the placement of any weapons in outer space.
So yeah, the kinetic ones, I'm pretty sure the ones we have, because those are actually really effective from space too. If you make something, a projectile or something that could, survive re-entry into Earth at those speeds, even though it hits terminal velocity, but still a giant,
Apparently, the Soviets actually did it.
What?
From what it says here, during the Cold War, the Soviet Union deployed a fractional orbital bombardment system from 1968 to 1983, which used a nuclear warhead, so this was live ammunition, placed in low Earth orbit and then later deorbited to hit any location on the Earth's surface. So
I'm not just a crazy crackspot conspiracy theorist. I'm right!
However, they were phased out and taken out by January of 2083, January of 1983.
2083, Kenneth? What is this future tech? Where are we going here?
In compliance with the SALT II Treaty of 1979, which prohibited deployment systems of mass destruction using, that.
So it's prohibited the use of weapons of mass destruction, but again, we still have other space weapons, I'm sure.
So it doesn't explicitly prohibit kinetic weapons, although I imagine kinetic weapons probably can cause mass destruction.
Kinetic weapon. You could literally bring down a satellite into something and use that if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though a lot of it'll burn up in the atmosphere, if you can fucking get that trajectory down enough and fucking crash it into something important, yeah. That's called kinetic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But no, they're talking more like. So, did you ever watch G.I. Joe?
No.
Oh, well, there was a space kinetic weapon thing there that dropped. It still dropped like nukes, but basically the kinetic force of the shell went through the Earth, and then it detonated like really far underground after like the initial penetration. It was like a bunker buster missile, but the bunker was the Earth, and the explosion was a nuclear explosion. Long story short, it was bad news. But anyway. So, yeah.
Anyway. Interesting.
Yeah. Man, my news tab was suspended. Space.
Anyways, on to tech news. So the Supreme Court has ruled that states will be able to force more people to pay sales tax when they make online purchases.
No!
So consumers can expect to see sales tax charged on more online purchases, likely over the next year and potentially before the Christmas shopping season, as states and retailers reacted to the court's decision. The cases the court overturned said that if businesses were shipping a customer's purchase to a state where the business didn't have a physical presence, such as a warehouse or office, the business didn't have to collect sales tax for the state. Consumers were generally responsible for paying the sales tax to the state themselves if they weren't charged it, but most didn't realize they owed it, and few paid. I didn't know that. I didn't know you had to do that.
What?
That if you didn't pay sales tax, like if you ordered something online, like from Amazon, but it was served through like a third party, that even though you didn't pay tax there, you still have to pay sales tax. That's what this just said, which I didn't know that till before reading the story. So big chain stores have been collecting sales tax nationwide because they typically have physical stores where the purchase is being shipped to, or such as Amazon.com, which has a network of warehouses, also collects sales tax in every state that charges it, though third-party sellers who use the site don't have to. Sellers that use eBay and Etsy, which both provide platforms for smaller sellers, also have been collecting sales tax nationwide. The Trump administration urged the justices to side with South Dakota. On Twitter, President Donald Trump called the decision a big victory for fairness and for our country. He called it a great victory for consumers and retailers.
How's this a great victory? How is paying tax a victory?
Yeah, he's an idiot. Though, as it says here, consumers will ultimately be paying more, and businesses weren't uniformly cheering the decision. So, yeah, we all get to pay more for all the shit we buy, so buy everything you can online now before this goes into effect.
Right. I mean, I'm already charged for a lot of shit because a lot of the shit that I buy does in fact come from warehouses in Texas.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Amazon.
Anyways, so this is a dangerous bill that was just recently passed.
Disastrous copyright bill approved. Source BBC News. A committee of MEPs has voted to accept major changes to European copyright law, which experts say could change the nature of the internet. Oh, great. Europeans being so nice and fucking up how the internet works and the freedom of the internet. Yeah. They voted to approve the controversial Article 13, which critics warn could put an end to memes, remixes, and other user-generated content. Well, rest in peace, YouTube. Article 11, requiring online platforms to pay publishers a fee if they link to their news content, was also approved. Oh, so that means our news that we run that we borrow from other people is also good.
Yeah, but just think of that, man. Memes are gone. Actual memes. Remixes.
I'm actually okay with some of these, slightly. Because
your porn is going to be affected.
How's my porn going to be affected?
Because this thing is so far broad-reaching that if there's porn parodies, or if artists...
No, I don't watch a lot of the parodies. A lot of the parodies...
No, not of watching, but even drawing, like... If somebody
so
draws
all of
porn
the,
of like somebody,
so all of the anime waifus, no.
Yes, folks, I have to put it in perspective so he'll understand how dangerous.
I mean, I still don't care because people are still going to do it anyway, and
the
European government's going to try to come after people, and people are just going to laugh at them.
Well, that's the problem, is that. Like with the GDPR that just recently went by, and everybody got the emails like, "Hey, we're updating our privacy policies in compliance with the GDPR because we have to comply with the European Union." That's what's going to happen to everything, even all your Pornhub. And,
I think Pornhub's not
Rule 34 places. No, Pornhub will. They have to be compliant with the European Union because that's how this works. There's a lot of companies, even if they're not based in the EU, still comply with it because it's a major market for the world.
I don't know. I think people should stand up to this
be affected.
by not using any of that content on any of those platforms.
Fan fiction.
It's pretty simple.
No, you're not understanding. This is broad-reaching. This is affecting the
I get
overall.
that, but that's what I'm saying. The websites could band together and just not agree with it by not showing content for them and making the people of the country pissed off because they can't get porn, they can't get to Facebook, they can't get to anything. Use the power of their existence. Yeah, because it would probably
the market is worth more than it is to take a stand in this case.
I don't know, man. Some people will take a stand against net neutrality in America.
Well, I mean, of course, tech leaders did all speak out about this. I'm not saying they didn't. Everybody from Facebook and Google and everybody else has spoken out against this. But if this thing passes, it hasn't passed yet. But if it passes, they're going to fall in line.
I guess.
They're going to fall in line.
So, activist Corey, Article 13, last week 70 influential tech leaders, including Vince Cerf. Hey, cat, stop that. Stop fucking around with shit. And Tim Berners-Lee signed the letter opposing Article 13, which they called any imminent threat to the future of the internet. Article
you know,
13
the
puts
father of the
more
goddamn internet.
onerous on websites to enforce copyright and could mean that every online platform that allows users to post text, sounds, code, or images will need some form of content recognition system to review all material that users upload. Also, that's going to be hard to comply with. Anyway,
Not really.
activist Cory Doctorow has
like
called it a
YouTube.
foolish, terrible idea. Article 11
But like,
has
think
been
of
called
YouTube's copyright thing, where
the
you know
link tax by
people
opponents.
post. Well, yeah, think of it. You know, like how when they're musicians, they post a sample of their music, or they'll post a sample of video. Same thing. They'll just be posting copyright holders, all the music people. I mean, everybody will.
Yeah,
posting
but the
song
thing
lyrics.
is
Will be
each of
posting-
these places would have to have some sort of program that runs like YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
most some of these do,
But they
like
will.
content
They'll
platforms.
be forced to.
That's
They'll
the
be
thing,
forced
is
to.
that will also cost some money. I don't think it's going to be as good as... I don't think it's going to go over as well as they plan it to, for sure.
No.
Article
but I mean,
11
this
has
is-
been called the link tax by opponents. Designed to limit the power over news publishers that tech giants such as Facebook and Google have, it requires online platforms to pay publishers a fee if they link to their news content. Wow.
Which I'll
Which
have
is
something to
also
say about.
fucked.
No, but this actually is bad for the news sites themselves that they don't understand. Because
Because people will just stop running news sites if they don't
no.
want to pay for it.
So what happened? Because this happened in like Germany, and I'll tell you what happened because we know what happened. So in Germany, when they ran this through, all these fucking news agencies saw their online clicks drop by like over half. Because guess what happens? You know, whenever Google and Facebook link to these stories, you know, people go click on these stories, you know, because they want to read more. Because it's usually only like the first sentence, it's just an excerpt.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, that sounds interesting. I want to read more. Now they're not going to have that, and you're not going to get your readership. And then you're going to be like, oh, why don't we have readership? Why did people stop clicking? Well, maybe it's because you passed the fucking laws to stop these people from linking to your damn stories.
Yep.
You ever think of that?
But anyway, critics say it fails to clearly define what constitutes a link and could be manipulated by governments to curb freedom of speech, which is kind of what I'm worried about. After the vote, U.S. not-for-profit organization Creative Commons, which aims to make more content free for others to share, called it a dark day for the open web.
Indeed it is. It is a dark day for the world. Yes.
Holy shit, Twiz is here. He said hello, Ski. Weird. I was unaware that Twisty exists still. Yeah, yeet, my boy. My fucking ass hurts. I have like mirror against the hanging glass on this chair. I'm gonna have to go buy me an expensive IKEA chair with its ergonomics.
IKEA chairs aren't expensive.
Made by Twiz's almost people.
Anyway. So, in good news for all the AT&T cell phone people, if you have a wireless plan with AT&T, listen up. So AT&T has launched a new Watch TV streaming service, which is actually free for AT&T customers.
I get something free from AT&T. Holy shit!
I know, crazy.
That's crazy.
But for the rest of us people, it's $15 a month.
Okay, it says aggressively priced, but $15 a month isn't that bad depending on how much TV they offer.
But they actually offer, well, a lot of Time Warner networks. Which of course makes sense.
It's dog shit. Ooh, 5 years, new record. Of course, folks, we've had well over 5 years here before. We've been in the teens before.
Yeah.
So, just as says it's an unfriendly country. This is great.
Fake wood is actually paper. You're just going to pour some water on it and just going to melt it.
Yep.
So yeah, the new service called Watch TV launches early next week and includes 31 channels from 6 networks, with Viacom coming soon, which I guess that means Comedy Central.
Well, Viacom... Does Viacom still own Cartoon Network? No, it's...
No, because those are there. So Time Warner actually
Time
owns
Warner,
Cartoon
yeah.
Network, CNN, TBS, TNT, and TCM, which is also part of the
Oh,
program
several
bundle,
Time Warner. Yeah, there you go. Networks will be there. So there you go. You get Cartoon
including
Network.
A&E, AMC, and HGTV. It's available with AT&T's latest and just announced unlimited plans, unlimited and more premium, fucking stupid unlimited and bullshit.
See, that's what I saw. I saw that there's these new unlimited programs that are like $60 a month and $65. They're competitively pricing, but their unlimited is not as unlimited as... This is the most triggering part of all of these unlimited services. Even yours, it's not unlimited. Yeah, it's unlimited. It's unlimited speed.
It's unlimited data technically, but it's not unlimited high speed.
Yeah, but going to 2G speeds is atrocious. 190 like 2 kilobits per second is the worst. It's like smashing your face against your wall. I
know we had to deal with it on the show. Remember whenever the hotspot went over 15?
I had to deal with it whenever I had to use your hotspot, so I could play games with it. I had good ping, right? But everything else was shit. I couldn't. So my ping was good. This is weird to say about it. My ping was good for games, and I could game really well. But I couldn't load web pages. My fucking home internet loaded web pages faster than it. It was awful. But I had better ping. Fucking whatever. Somehow that makes sense. Not to me, but somehow.
Yeah. So it says AT&T says it also include 15,000 titles, a mix of TV and movies that'll be on demand through the service. So it currently undercuts Dish's Sling TV, which is $20 a month, as the cheapest option on the market.
They're undercutting. I was gonna say they're undercutting themselves. They don't own Dish, but they're all.
They actually are. They are undercutting DirecTV now, which I'm a subscriber.
Which they own DirecTV, so.
Which they own DirecTV.
But DirecTV now has other things like HBO and stuff that this doesn't include, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
Yeah. This doesn't include what it has. That one has it.
And HBO is only $5 a month on DirecTV.
Nice.
Which is ridiculous, because separately it's $15.
Yeah, Twiz, you should just stay up, man. I may or may not go to school tomorrow. We can all stay up all night. And
go to school tomorrow?
I mean, go to work tomorrow. We could stay up all night and play squad and shit. After I go visit a chick.
Yeah, we should play Tab G.
I don't know. I have to decide what I want to do. It'd be so weird to send that email in the middle of the night. Yo, I'm not coming to work tomorrow. I have to do a server build tomorrow anyway. So I will be at work, but I could do it from home. Tarkov coming in tomorrow, boys. Oh, that's right. Chris Fix is doing Tarkov. I'll probably be off. Like, I'm going half day tomorrow for sure. At the very least, even if I go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, and as a part of this, AT&T is also rolling out their new unlimited plans, Unlimited and More, which starts at $70 for a single line, if you've enabled autopay and paperless billing.
It's kind of like yours, which is $75 for regular or $70 if it's autopay.
But video streaming is limited to 480p, and it doesn't include any hotspot tethering.
Which is atrocious. Fuck that. I need that.
Yeah, I know, right? And both of these things come with the more pricier and more premium option, which unlocks 1080p video and 15 gig of hotspot usage for $80 a month. Yeah. So T-Mobile is still the superior unlimited with tethering.
Okay. So the video streaming, I read it, and I don't think it's limited to 480. So this is the thing about AT&T's plan. They have the video streaming, which is unlimited proper, and it's unlimited at 480 even whenever you hit your high-speed cap. That's the thing there. So if you get to 1080p, you can watch videos in 1080p even after you hit your cap. That's some of the things that some people. I'm not sure how their network differentiates. I don't know how their network differentiates what you're doing, but it does.
If I'm on YouTube, maybe it only works with their particular apps. Like if you get it and you get this Watch TV, it only works with Watch TV. Yeah. Because because it ties into your
there's somebody that's done it in the past. It's like one of the T-Mobile Go plans did it in the past, where you had unlimited data even whenever you had to pay.
T-Mobile, it's still a part of T-Mobile. It's called Binge On.
Yeah.
Which if you turn it, you can turn it on, and it limits it to 480 unlimited.
Yeah, which is basically what I'm saying. Is it's the same thing, and that works with YouTube and other random things. I don't know how it works. I can't tell you how it works, but I know it does because I know people that have used it. They're like, I have no data, but I'm still watching videos, and I'm like, what? Hey.
I don't need to enable that. I'm on Wi-Fi 99% of the time.
Yeah, and also your unlimited data is up to 20 gigs. Is it 50 gigs now? So I haven't seen them. I don't think they're 50 gigs for the new plans. I think you have 50.
No, they are.
Are they? See, I need to get that, so I'm going to start doing that live stream thing. My GoPro comes in tomorrow, and the next time I go drive to Bay City, you can watch me drive live and go 100 and something and do stupid shit. Yeah, right here at this channel.
Anyways, on to the final stories of the evening in Stupid and Crazy.
Yes.
Roll the video.
I'm good. Then I was gonna not say anything and just roll this video. So here we go. Here's this video. Look at this. I just want to point out how like thug this dude looks. He's like, look at him, just thug stance and everything. Like, bitch, what you looking at?
Let me know when you start it.
It started, or it was started. I gotta turn down the quality. This music, though.
Yeah. God damn, look at that. Yeah, so he used a stolen credit card to pay for his meal.
At his own restaurant. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
well, at the restaurant.
Oh, Shannon's restaurant. Shamong.
Yep.
Oh,
The card
nice.
belonged to the waitress that was serving.
Rip.
I love it when she's gonna run the book. She's got her own name on the damn card. Fucking idiot. She's like, I'm gonna go pay for this meal. Oh no.
Rest in pepperonis.
Well, I'm glad this guy was so unlucky.
Right?
He just had to use the damn credit card of the woman who took his order.
It's good, feel good story for her, kind of, because she gets some fucking vengeance back.
Yeah.
I wonder
And
if
he's
they're
going
gonna
to
figure
jail.
out if he did it or not.
I mean, there's really, there's nothing to dispute there.
There's some dispute. He might have just got the card from somebody else. He might not have actually been the one
It's
sold the card.
possible.
I'm just
but
saying.
unlikely.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Moscow runs low on beer necessities for thirsty World Cup fans. Beer-guzzling soccer fans risk drinking parts of Moscow dry, with some bars and restaurants in the Russian capital saying they're running low and having to wait longer than usual for fresh supplies. Speaking of which, I forgot that I'm not drinking on stream on Game on Thursday. Let me rectify this issue. As I went up like a whole 5 octaves in speaking, I got real serious for this story. Crippling alcoholism, gents. Even though I'm not crucifix. It's going to be what... We're going to stop calling it crippling alcoholism. We're just going to call it crucifixism. Doing it, dubbing it, that's what it is now. Alright. Moscow's been transformed by the World Cup, with singing, chanting, and beer-swilling fans overwhelming some of the packed bars and restaurants around the Kremlin and Red Square. We just didn't think they would only want beer, said one waiter in an upscale eatery in central Moscow who asked not to be identified for fear of scaring off future customers. The waiter said his restaurants ran out of draft lager on Monday, and deliveries are taking longer than usual, at least 24 hours, because supplier stocks are also running low. There really are a lot of people in Moscow, and they're all drinking, he said. It's hot, and it's football. Does Russia get hot? Is that a thing?
Yes, I think so.
Whatever.
Well, I mean,
Dmitry, obviously drinking for Russia now. Dmitry, a barman at trendy courtyard bar Gogol.
The high was 87.
I guess it's kind of hot, I don't know. Said visiting soccer fans had drunk 800 liters of beer in 3 days, downing the cheap lager
Let's
before
translate
moving
that to
on
English.
to more expensive bottled beers. I'll drink
So to
while he
put that
does
in
that.
perspective, that's 200 gallons of alcohol.
Crippling crucifixism. Gogol was taking 3 deliveries on Tuesday to replenish supplies, he said, as workers busily unpacked boxes of beer, vodka, and whiskey from a nearby van. The sun makes them thirsty, he said of his customers. In Russian, we say to the bottom. I like these guys are embracing our culture. I love how I turned into Russian at the end there. To the bottom! Artyom, to the bottom!
In Russia, we say, to the bottom. I like these guys embracing our culture.
They would like crippling crucifixism.
Anyway, in this week's Darwin Award winner, man stabs himself to death while trying to prove to his friends his vest was stab-proof.
This is future point. I'm calling it now. This is what's going to happen at the Texas meetup, depending on how many people come. I foresee it now. Crucifix is going to do some stupid shit. And maybe Trooper, if he comes, will join him or something. They'll do some really stupid shit. Calling it now. You heard it here first. If we even have a Texas meetup, that is, at this point. I don't know. I fear that some people aren't coming. I fear the Texas meetup is going to be me, you, and Crucifix. And maybe Trooper. I'm worried about the Michigan boys. Because they are all poor boys.
They're just a poor boy.
Yeah.
Anyways. So yes, the popular young man fatally stabbed himself in the chest, mistakenly believing the vest he wore was stab-proof. So Jordan Easton was in the kitchen at one of his friend's parents just 5 days before his 22nd birthday. So this guy was 21 years old, nearly 22, and he thought this was a good idea. When he turned a knife on himself to demonstrate the stab-proof nature of the vest he wore, he suffered a chest wound, obviously, and was taken to the University of North Tees in Stockton. Although his injuries were self-inflicted, there's no evidence Mr. Easton intended to harm himself. And the police investigation was launched, but no further action was taken. You know, I don't get why it's like, this thing's stab-proof. Should I take it off and maybe poke at it with a knife to make sure it's stab-proof? Nah, it's too much. I'm going to wear it and test this theory.
I'm going to wear it and stab myself. Woo!
With apparently enough force to, well, fucking kill himself.
Right.
Yes, so that's the end of our story. End of our stories this week on that Darwin Award winner. Tragic for the family, but it's a person removed from the gene pool, so that's all what Darwin is for.
Oh, right as we hit red, it started dropping frames all of a sudden. Oh, there we go, now we're back. That's weird. Meh.
Anyways, so I'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on Table Talk Thursday, episode 63. Please join us again next week for your weekly source of news. You can check out this channel here on Tuesday for the Anime Talk Show, which starts at 7:30 p.m. CST, where they normally talk about the anime seasonals in review, and every other week they have a guest. I think this week's show was their guest show, so next week
No,
we'll be talking about the anime
this
seasonals.
next week is the guest show. The one coming up is the guest show.
Okay.
With the guest to be determined. Actually, no, wait. No, we had Crucifix on. Oh, we were supposed to have Crucifix on this week. You're right. No, you're right. This week was the guest show. And
See, I know your show more than you do.
And the crippling Crucifixism caught Crucifix and he passed out.
Yeah. So, next week is the seasonals. Or next weekend.
Yes.
Yes. I got this channel as well for, of course, the show. Our talk show on 8 p.m. CST.
8 to 8:30 p.m. CST, as I always say.
8 p.m. CST, got it.
As I continue to
troll
troll
Kenneth. This channel at 8 p.m. CST. You can also check out this channel where he randomly streams game occasionally. You can check out my channel, Raining Death 909, on Twitch, where I stream games. Randomly.
Don't do it. He doesn't do anything.
Shut up, don't listen to him. He totally streams.
He does it straight.
He's a liar and a thief.
Not a thief, what the fuck?
You're a liar.
No.
Not a thief.
Not most of the time. I just tell half-truths. Anyway, whatever. Also, you can catch us here on Saturdays for Speakeasy Gaming D&D sessions, as well as
that happens at 6 p.m.
Yes, 6 p.m. CST. As well as catch us on Sunday at... I still don't know if we have a time locked in. I guess it's me that needs to do it. I'm going to go with, I guess, so far.
Are you the DM
6.
for this?
Yeah. So 6 p.m. CST, where I'll be DMing, where you can catch me live and see all of the secrets behind the scenes of what they have laying next.
I'm going to be watching the show.
No! Here, I'm going to walk over here. I have this innate sense that there's guys over here. I'm like, fuck you, Kenneth. Go away. Yeah, so I turned on volumetric lighting the other time, and it's okay. So it said, this is the thing, this is the tool. It said highlight regions to hide. So I did, and then it just hit the whole map instead. And I was like, oh god damn it. So then I had to highlight regions to show things.
Everybody's fucking having trouble with the damn lighting.
Yeah, see, so this is the thing. I sat there and played with it for the first time ever, and I already understood how to get turn order down, how to do the fucking GM layer,
Right.
how to use the map layer and lock it. Like, Crucifix and everybody else
Fucking teach
is falling
Crucifix.
behind.
Love you, Crucifix, but really, buddy, you need to learn how to work that damn turn order.
All these things are not that hard. They're really easy. I even, learned almost
Also,
immediately how to give
Can you
people
teach him
their
how to label our
characters.
characters?
What do you mean how to label them? Ouch.
You know, like in Stages game, where our labels are, where our characters are labeled.
Oh, they have the
name
names
on
at
it?
the bottom? I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm sure I could if I played around with it, because we all have character tokens still on that game. But anyway, I didn't think about trying it. I mean, everybody may drop their characters, so I know who's who for the most part. I still got to figure out a good campaign. I have maps and things. I just need to figure out what I need to do. I think I just need to sit down and read through the fucking lore, and then I can just make a fucking good... I have good images in my mind of what I want, but I don't have... My problem is getting enemies that you guys can fight against and gauging how to do it. Because I just used my characters as pre-mades, and I'm kind of concerned about using some of the pre-mades and some of these things, whether they're too strong or whatever, however.
Anyways, we'll talk about this later. Let's kill the show for the nice folks at home.
Yes, for everybody at home. We don't have nice folks here. This is Table Talk Thursday, and also my stream.
I love you people. You're the best people.
So he says,
Check
as
that.
he never reads his own chat in his own streams.
Well, I don't stream for the people. I stream for me. People like what I do. Good. But I'm going to get around to that. I've ordered a screen so I can watch things.
I'll believe it when I say. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. Catch us on the next stream, whenever that may be.
And have a good evening.
Yes, and we'll probably be playing, I think, Squad this weekend a good bit, and maybe some Tarkov coming Friday
And some
Saturday.
Fortnite, because we haven't played Fortnite in a while.
Sure. That wasn't in my plans, but sure. See you, everybody. Have a good night.